Hi Shikha,
Hi, Anupriya.
I'm so glad you could join me today.
Me too, but I'm not sure what we are here to talk about.
That's easily answered. But before I tell you, why don't you tell me something first?
What do you wish to know?
Do you know what gender is?
That's simple. Gender is the physical difference between men and women.
Not completely wrong, but gender is actually much more than just a physical difference between men, women, and others. Gender actually refers to the different roles, rights, and responsibilities of men and women. It does not simply refer to women or men, but to the way their qualities, behaviors, and identities are decided by the society. With growing knowledge and understanding of inequality, gender is now known to include a discussion of unequal power and access to choices and resources. The position of women and men are different in our society, and these are influenced by historical, religious, economic, and cultural realities. Do you understand now how loaded the term gender is?
Kind of. I thought gender was much simpler concept to comprehend. But what I still don't understand is why all these issues of behavior, identity, power, and excess are considered a part of gender. Why can't gender be the difference we see with our eyes?
Good question, Shikha. We could have considered gender to be just the difference that we can visually see, but gender is actually a social construct. This means that our anatomy and physical features have nothing to do with which gender we belong to, that is, the sex that we are born with. Gender is what our society assigns to us, where being a male means different things than being a female. This means there are different roles, norms, and relationships between men and women. While many fight against these set roles and norms, it is usually men who benefit from these set rules. That is why there is an unequal power dynamic between the two genders, and this is what gives rise to the politics of gender.
Okay, I think I'm close to understanding this. But now, you have to answer my question. What are we here to discuss today?
We are here to discuss the gendered politics of water.
Whoa, that went right over my head. What does gendered politics of water mean?
We have discussed what gender means, how it is an unequal system created by the society, and how there is an unequal distribution of power and access, right?
Right.
So when we talk about the politics of gender, it includes the politics that surrounds many resources and their access as well. In this case, we are discussing water as a resource and how gender politics makes it difficult for some to access and utilize these resources in comparison to other genders.
I always thought water was a renewable resource that is equally available to all. How can gender affect our access to it?
Now that is the real loaded question. To understand this in the Indian context, we will first have to understand the makeup of the country. India is largely a patriarchal society. Do you know what that means?
Patriarchy? Isn't that where men are the heads of the houses?
You are absolutely right. A patriarchy is a society controlled by men, especially by family patriarchs, that is the male head of the family. For example, under patriarchy, if a man whose father has died or his father's father has died, and a man who has 2 married sons and 2 married daughters and 10 grandchildren, then any money earned by either of his 2 sons belongs not to the individual who earns the money, but to the family. And the patriarch of the family has the authority to decide how the money is to be distributed among the family members. He has no similar authority over his married daughters who are under the authority of the patriarchs of the families into which they have married. This is why in India, women marry and go to the house of the husband's family, wherein many families no longer even consider them as a part of their family once they get married. This happens more in rural and uneducated communities, but that is where our conversation lies today as well.
Yes, I've also seen many such instances of women being considered as a part of their husband's family and not their birth family. But what does this have to do with politics and water?
I am getting there, Shikha. As women are treated as the inferior gender, it is them that face the brunt of unequal prejudices and practices. Did you know that people in most areas without toilets go to the fields or in forests to perform bodily functions?
Yes, I know that many of our rural population is struggling with access to toilets. But that is applicable to all genders, right? Men and women both have these issues.
You are absolutely right, Shikha. Both men and women face these issues. But the problem is that they face it unequally. Insufficient access to safe, hygienic, and private sanitization is a source of shame, physical discomfort, and insecurity for millions of women across the world. In India as well, this lack of access is a huge problem. In many Indian villages, cultural norms make it unacceptable for women to be seen defecating, forcing millions of women to leave home before dawn or after nightfall to maintain privacy. Can you imagine having to wait till it's dark to be able to use the toilet? What problems do you think would come with this as well?
That surely sounds very scary. Imagining myself in such situation, darkness is not the only issue. There are numerous insects and animals. Keeping aside the fact that Indian streets are not safe for women in the night because of the increasing assault cases seen.
You are right, Shikha. Women face these issues and much more. Not only are they unsafe when traveling away from home in the dark, but they also tend to drink less water during the day in order to not feel the urge to use the toilet, which results in all kinds of health problems such as urinary tract infections. Another problem that has been observed is that the latrine designs, especially for primary and secondary schools, are mainly built by male workers. Therefore, they are not sensitive to the special needs of girls and construct toilets that are harder to use for girls. This means many girls stay away from school when they are menstruating, even when their schools have toilets. The unhygienic conditions of these toilets add to their discomfort, especially as they lack ways to properly dispose sanitary ware, regular running water to maintain cleanliness, or even have a vending machine that dispenses sanitary ware when needed. All this adds to more and more girls staying home when they begin menstruation. According to the Unified District Information System for Education Plus 2019-2020 report released in 2021, a little over 15% of girls drop out at the national level, and the percentage at the national level hides the variations observed at the state levels. As many as 14 states exceed the national percentage, with the highest being Assam at almost 33%.
Oh no, I wasn't aware that so many girls dropped out of school due to lack of toilets.
Toilets are just one reason for girls leaving school. Another major reason is the rising burden on young girls to take over household responsibilities. This is also a part of the gendered politics of water.
Is it? How is that?
Fetching water is an integral part of gender inequality. Let me tell you some facts from the world over. In rural Benin, girls aged 6 to 4 spend an average of 1 hour a day collecting water compared to 25 minutes spent by their brothers who do the same. In Malawi, there are large variations in the amount of time allocated for water collection based on seasonal factors, but women consistently spend 4 to 5 times longer than men on this task. In Tanzania, a survey found school attendance to be 12% higher for girls in homes located 15 minutes or less from a water source than in homes 1 hour or more away. Attendance rate for boys appeared to be far less affected by distance from water source, which means that girls who live closer to the water were able to attend school much more frequently than girls who lived farther away. In 12% of households, children carry the main responsibility for collecting water, with girls under 15 years of age being twice as likely to carry this responsibility as boys under the age of 15 years. Research in sub-Saharan Africa suggests that women and girls in low-income countries spend 40 billion hours a year collecting water, the equivalent of a year's worth of labor by the entire workforce in France. In Africa, 90% of the work of gathering water and wood for the household and for food preparation is done by women. Can you imagine being held responsible for such an important resource from such a young age? This responsibility takes away from the time they can use to attend school and even adds dramatically to women's workloads. If only everyone had access to safe and clean drinking water, women would be free to pursue other activities in the time they saved.
I never realized how unequal this system was towards women. I always thought water was a basic necessity that everyone had access to. We all hear news regarding varied partialities that women go through, but these facts are an eye-opener. Being a woman myself, it's heart-wrenching to see what these young adults are going through.
Yes, that is why there is gender politics involved in something as basic as the availability and access to water. Targets, such as those in the Sustainable Development Goals relating to water, are unlikely to be achieved unless gender perspectives are integrated into planning and implementation activities. Generic solutions to water-based issues do not pay attention to these issues that women face, and their burden continues to grow even if solutions become available in their communities. If these burdens of time, health, and giving care were reduced, women would have more time for productive endeavors, adult education, empowerment activities, and leisure. Convenient access to water and sanitation facilities would also increase privacy and reduce risk of women and girls being sexually harassed and assaulted while gathering water or going to the toilet. Therefore, for the overall development of women in countries such as India, water issues need to be dealt with, keeping in mind the gendered politics of water.
This was so enlightening, Anupriya. I'm so glad we had this talk. My mind is buzzing with this information.
I am glad, Shikha. I hope this will inspire you to come and talk to me more often.
Definitely. What are we discussing next?
Well, for that, you will have to come back for a talk with me again, and stay tuned to learn more such interesting facts about water, rivers, and our environment.
I will be back soon then.